Okay, just going to raise this camera up a little bit. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from here in Boston Bar, British Columbia. I'm at my work 20 and the Lord blessed me with a job here to renovate this cabin. Just finished the drywall, got the bathrooms made, and new floor put in. And anyway, last night I've been feeling in the spirit to share the 7 visions, open visions that the Lord gave me in the early part of February of 1988 while staying in Bangs, Texas. And so I'm just going to do this in parts. I should actually print out the visions, but you know, over the years they're pretty well imprinted in my spirit. We know that the time is coming where God's judgment is going to come down on the West Coast, and you know, we know that Vancouver Island's been having quakes this past Christmas. I think there's around 6-7 quakes up in the north end of the island. Most of us are aware, the ones that are in the know, that it could be a big one. I know David Terrell saw this mega quake hit the Vancouver area, and it's going to be big enough where it's going to shake 13 states in the northwest, and the shaking is going to be felt all the way to Alberta. So when this happens, that's when God's going to turn the hourglass over. And the news media, in the visions, the Lord made it clear that when the first wake-up quake happens, not the one that I saw in the visions, but when God brings forth this dead-raising revival, and that the earthquake could be a sign of it, that the news is going to report that the big one has come and gone, and because of that, the people are going to go back to sleep. And the quake that the Lord showed me, I was busy preparing, and I was with my wife. I'm not married yet. I'm looking for her. She should be coming on the scene any time. But anyway, I was with my wife, and I remember that we went down to a Banks meeting. It was I knew in the spirit that it was in April, and I was surprised that actually stay there, that the revival was not held in tent, because usually in the spring and summer the big tent is set up. It was held in the tabernacle, and I know they have a new tabernacle in Banks now. The old one is being sold, so you know, the Lord knows, right? But anyway, I was there with my wife, and usually the revivals start on a Thursday or on a Friday, and they run for a week, maybe 10 days. And we were there, and I remember that the place was jam-packed out. You couldn't get any more people in there. The old Banks Tabernacle can handle a few thousand people, and it seemed that's where we were. And this is the pre-visions leading up to the 7 open visions that started in Port Angeles, where I was standing in Port Angeles. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark, and I saw the sun beginning to rise up in the west, but it wasn't the sun, it was another planetary body. So it was close to in around when the pole shift is going to occur. And anyway, we were standing in the lineup. It was a long lineup for prayer, and when we made it up to the front, the man of God, David Terrell, he said stay there. He went into the back room, and he brought out a set of his clothes, shoes, shirt, jacket, everything. And he said, take this, go in the back room, change, and leave your old clothes there, like you won't need them anymore. So I came back out, and I stood on the platform, and people began to grumble, you know, why was David Terrell doing this? people tend to get jealous, right? Especially when he gives you a new set of clothes. And he went up, and David Terrell went, and he picked up one of his favorite staffs, and he came and he placed that staff in my right hand. And the word of the Lord came to the man of God. And it said, the Lord said, it's imperative that you return back to your own country. Couldn't even stay the remainder of the meeting. And my wife had to stay, and she understood. And then that's where the visions kicked in. And I was standing in Port Angeles. I don't know how I got there. It was probably a 5 or 6 hour flight from Dallas to Los Angeles. I don't know whether someone drove me down, whether I flew down, but I knew that I was there. I had to be back in my own country within a 24-hour time frame. And so that's where the vision started. But through it all, in these pre-visions, I remember looking into the eyes of David Terrell, God's prophet to the world. He's got these lovely blue eyes. And I knew that something was happening in the spirit. And he's up in his 80s now, still going strong, maybe slowing down some, but never, always out for souls. That's, he's a soul winner. He's won millions of souls to the Lord. And the most prophetic voice that there is in the world. He is a prophet to the world, not just to America, not just to a town, but to the world. And I just want to go off topic a little bit. One time, Elijah came to him, and he said, in comparison, he was like a baby prophet, right? Just a baby prophet. And we know that God's going to raise up the spirit and the power of Elijah. It's not one person. It's a company of people. It's this end-time army that God's bringing forth. And when the Lord sent me back to Canada, that I had an unction in my spirit. And He sent me back up there to bring forth the final warning, right? I remember getting on board the ferry in Port Angeles at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we got into port just a few minutes after 8 o'clock in the morning. And I could sense the fear coming up from the States. I didn't know who was president. It seems like this is going to happen during President Trump's term. We know a lot of trouble's coming because of the 2020 elections. That there is going to be civil war, one way or another. It's coming. I didn't see civil war in the visions. There's trouble. Maybe I could see the faces of the people. I could see the fear of God on the people. Maybe it was because that Nibiru was visible in the sky, like this. We know that Nibiru appeared during the time of Jonah. And Jonah brought forth the word of repentance. He says, you got 40 days. And that's where Gil Bassard was saying, Nibiru's inbound. You got to be inbound, be in your face in this at the end of 40 days. And so we know that Nibiru, this dark star that's coming, it's God's sign to repent. It was like that. Stuff was happening in the States. Volcanoes are going off. And but you could see that there was a critical fear in the faces and in the hearts of the people. And I just want to jump ahead. And when this earthquake happened, and the Lord brought me there, I remember I was standing outside of Hope on the Agassiz Highway, number 7 highway, just outside of Hope, a few miles. And the angel of the Lord appeared on my right hand side. Gabriel appeared. And he spoke to me concerning the will of the Father. And God said, he said, I want you to speak forth a major destructive earthquake in the Pacific. And I knew in my heart, if I spoke those words, it would happen. I had a chance to think about it. But I had to be obedient, right? So the Lord sent me, back from America, back up to Canada, to Victoria, not just to bring forth a final warning, but to bring forth a judgment call. And remember when just jumping ahead a little bit in the visions, when the earthquake took place, I didn't see the earthquake, but I was over Vancouver Island, over the southern end, right? I could see the mountains up on the north end of the island, and I saw a wall of water that rose up. It just jumped straight up out of the water like this. And I knew in the Spirit, by the Spirit of the Lord, that this wave was 1,500 feet high. 1,500 feet high, right? And I saw it sweep over the island. And the mountains didn't even slow it down. And we know that this first earthquake that's coming, this wake-up earthquake that's coming, it's not going to produce a 1,500-foot wave. And it's going to be a wake-up call. It's going to be a shock and awe to bring forth people to repent and to call out to God and to prepare to get away from the West Coast. Because when this 1,500-foot wave comes, Vancouver will be gone. There won't be a building standing. There won't be no survivors, right? Nothing's going to be able to withstand something like that. And I don't know when it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen in the month of April, late March, April. And according to Gil Bessard, if we see Nibiru next year, right? If it appears, then it's, according to his data, it's going to be at its closest approach toward the Earth at around March 31st, 2021, if it appears in 2020. And according to the astrophysicists in Russia, right, Putin fired the old guys. He hired a new team. They've been tracking this dark star system for the last 30, 40 years. And what they came up with is that Nibiru will be at its closest approach toward the Earth around the 27th of February 2021. That's according to the Russian physicists, the people that are in the know, that's been watching and following Nibiru. But I know in my spirit, if God's people believe, and I feel the Spirit of the Lord on me now, if God's people take what's coming seriously, when this wake-up event takes place, if they take this wake-up event seriously and begin, there's more to life than just repenting, that's the beginning. But then you need to take the steps of faith, knowing that the final quake is going to bring total destruction, that you need to prepare to leave the West Coast, right? And I knew in the Spirit that there was a little bit of leeway. There was a break in the time stream where more time could be given, right? That, that God gave enough time for all the believers who believed, all the remnant, to give them enough extra space of time to prepare and to be ready to go. And right toward the last, as I was standing on the ferry in Horseshoe Bay, I saw this creature stand up out of the water, this T-Rex. His head was taller than the top part of the ferry. He must have been 70 to 80 feet out of the water. I mean, his head, it was just massive. When this sign happens, this is when everyone along the West Coast, from Alaska right down to Mexico and everywhere, but it's a sign to the remnant, not just Canada, North America, but to the world, that now is a time you must flee to the places of refuge. And we know that we're coming into that time frame. These places must be built. So the Lord's blessed me with this work here. Lord willing, 3 months from now, I'll be able to get a pad rental over here and pull my fifth wheel there, build a 8x12 addition to the trailer, and get a wood stove in and get secured to actually have a place to stay. You know, the Lord's blessed me with the work. It may be that God, the Most High God, is going to call me forth down to the States to begin to fulfill His call and destiny on my life, to begin to build the places of the refuge. In 1988, He gave me Project David. He showed me how to make communities, whether it's for 5 people, 50 people, 500, or 5,000, don't matter. The same plan is used, right, where it can be done in quick time. He's given me the platform technology, and they gave me the blueprints, and they gave me the platform technology which allows for portable housing. And then back in 2004, he gave me the drill pipe technology, which has to do it at some point. I'll come across the discovery of where you can take petroleum fuels, perfect it, and with that to generate a 10-fold, maybe a 100-fold increase in heat. So very little fuel is going to go a long ways, and where that heat, those plasma temperatures, you'll be able to turn anything back into fuel through gasification or pyrolysis. And this is going to be needed for the places of refuge. And it really irks me when people think people that are green get up and go, they'll might find a place out there in the wilderness, but you can't do it as individuals. And if God's people cannot come together collectively, they're not going to make it. As simple as that. You're going to be taken out. And so as we learn to walk in the unity of the Spirit, that we'll be covered with the dome of light, with the blood of the Lamb, right? You know, the blood of Jesus. He doesn't have blood in his veins. He has congealed light. So we'll be covered by that light, by that dome of protection. But only as we learn to walk in the Spirit and walk in love one toward another will we have that protection. And there will be a remnant that will be preserved, that God will preserve his bride. That when we come into the last battle, into the battle of Armageddon, that God's that's when He's coming for His bride, that we're going through tribulation, folks, and that we need to prepare, right? The last test that He's bringing us into, His bride, is His bride going to take the mark, or they're going to rely and trust on God? As simple as that. That's the last test. And if we pass that test, then we get to be lifted up into His presence. And but I know in my spirit we're very close to a 9 point, whatever it's going to be. This revival is going to kick off. And in one of the visions, right toward the end, I saw a 50 mile convoy of 10,000 vehicles. I knew that by the Spirit of the Lord. And they left, and they were fully prepared, and they left out from the east side of Surrey, and that convoy stretched all the way to Chilliwack. You look on the map. And, I saw the whole convoy. I saw each vehicle, and the Lord took me in toward the center, and I saw 5 miles of transport trucks, and they were all outfitted with portable housing. I knew that by the Spirit also. They were ready. So there's going to be those, when this wake-up event happens, there's going to be a remnant that's going to believe, and they're going to take action, and they're going to prepare, come together and prepare, right? And there's going to be other believers. They're going to take the word of the Lord lightly, and I saw them die. I saw every believer who believed in the pre-trib rapture. Right at the end, I saw them die. I saw everyone. I saw every face. I saw them shaking their fist at God. They were ticked off at God because God didn't rapture them out. And I believe 2020 is going to be a year of clarity. It's going to be a year of action. And I'm just praying, says, Lord, use me. Have I missed it? How come I'm not, that I haven't been out building these places where He's going to send me forth to anoint the land and to anoint the people? How come it hasn't happened before? I guess God has His timing. I'm just praying that I haven't missed the mark, that God can still use me to be a blessing to His people. So I'm just going to end it here. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from here at my work site here in Boston Bar, British Columbia, on the second open visions, and I'll probably share maybe a second time, maybe a third time.